What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down Valorant patch 2.07. Now, as of right now, the Valorant patch is live in some regions, and we're going to be breaking down all of the changes in the patch and then talk about what the implication is for the new, perhaps most annoying meta in the game so far. So make sure you watch to the end, smash that like and subscribe, and go to the GameLeap website in the links down below. Because right now we have a special 50% off spring sale with the added bonus of getting a possibility of getting that one-on-one session with your boy Coach Mills, where we're gonna get up close and personal, break down your gameplay, break down your fundamental problems, give you a lesson plan on how to improve everything that you need to climb. Plus the GameLeap website has tons of in-depth content just like that on the GameLeap website. So go check it out right now in the links down below at a fraction of the price. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, some of you might have seen the leaked patch notes in the past, but these are going to be similar. However, now we know they're actually legitimized in the game. We're not talking hypotheticals anymore, so I'm going to read them just as they are in the patch notes. Then we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to talk about how the meta is forming as a whole. So first off, let's actually talk about Raze. Let's see what they say about it. Let's read the changes and let's talk about it. Raze mains have learned how to fly in the sky so far and fast with their blast packs that it's not uncommon to hear an explosion in the distance and then suddenly have an enemy Raze fly around the corners. Similar to Jet's Tailwind, we're adding a sound attached to Raze as she flies through the air that should help you better track her movement and give you some heads up that danger might be on the way. Along with that, we have taken a pass on some of her VFX in an attempt to reduce how they obscure combat when exploding on the battlefield. Audio cues added to indicate when she's boosted in the air from Blast Pack. Explosions and showstoppers launching VFX updated so that they are less obscuring and clear out of space much faster. Now, essentially, this is what you need to know about Raze. Raze is going to be a lot easier to identify when she's flying through the freaking air. You're not going to be able to double satchel above enemies and them just be completely lost, not hear you as you're soaring through the air. Honestly, they should just make the noise fucking sheesh or something like that as she's flying. But all joking aside, Raze is going to be a lot easier to see and target when she's doing these crazy rollouts, which is going to make them a little bit less reliable. Honestly, rollouts had mixed results depending on how you use them. Sometimes the really crazy rollouts look really flashy and cool on YouTube, but they don't necessarily always translate to gameplay, and this is gonna make that a little bit harder sometimes. That line is gonna be moved a little bit, right? As before, maybe a couple of rollouts were legitimately really strong. Sometimes you might have to reel that back in because you got to remember, flying through the air for too long, enemies are going to be able to target you and hear you a lot more similar to Jet Knives as opposed to how it was before, where you were almost a freaking stealth ninja flying through the air, ready to shotgun a hoe. Then we go to the VFX changes. I consider this more of a quality of life change, a lot less clutter on the screen for you and your allies. Yeah, there was some niche situations where you actually use these abilities to create an LOS block, and I guess you could call that a nerf. But overall, I don't think it's really big, and I think that it's just going to be better for the game as a whole, not having so much shit just spamming your screen, not being able to see, right? Then next up, we actually got to talk about Viper. Viper, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the changes. We're going to talk about it. After digging into reports about martial shots not killing enemies that have taken 50 decay, we discovered a bug tied to the way that the game determines if taking damage should be lethal on decayed targets with armor at specific health breakpoints. We think the bugged interaction with the Marshal was by far the most common, but we'll watch how this bug fix affects the recently buffed Viper's overall power. Fix the bug when calculating if damage taken while decayed should be lethal for players with armor. Most notably, this was causing Marshal shots when the target was decayed 50 to reduce the enemy to 1 health instead of killing them. Basically, this is just a bug change because a lot of us already thought that Viper with the Marshal could actually kill people if they walk through or smoke, and now they're just recalculating it. Essentially, it is a buff, but it's a buff back to the level that we already thought it was at. So it's not really going to change Viper how we perceived her before, but it is making her more powerful, and it's just another thing to Viper. We don't have enough data yet to know just how powerful Viper is gonna be, but based on testing so far, Viper is incredibly strong, seeing a lot of good pick rate, and expect Viper to be played a lot more in this upcoming meta, which I'm going to talk about after I talk about the Astra changes. So last but certainly not least, let's talk about Astra. Astra gets a quick boost this patch focused on removing a counterintuitive rule with her gravity well, doesn't expect those defusing the spike. We want to try and keep our ability interactions as consistent and easy to learn as possible and allow you to explore ways to leverage agent abilities without running into unexpected walls. We think this update can create some interesting interactions post-plant where enemies try to bait out the gravity well and play around its cooldown. As always, we'll keep an eye on her new post-plant impact overall. Gravity Well now pulls agents that are defusing the spike. If they are pulled out of the defuse range, the defuse will be interrupted. Now, we briefly talked about this in the previous patch, and after some time to ponder it, realizing that it's legitimized, plus the Viper changes, you gotta understand something about this change overall and about the change in the grand scheme of things. Post-plant is gonna be an absolute fucking nightmare. I'm serious. It's gonna be terrible. You could put stars on the spike and you get to pull people off. You get to have a concussion. You get to have something that pulls people off, and it is freaking crazy powerful. Imagine this scenario, having an Astra and a Killjoy having utility on that spike and just preventing people from defusing like multiple times in a row. Or imagine having like a Brimstone Molly rollout with an Astra star, with a freaking Killjoy, with a Sova rollout. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Now, if you add that with Viper, who is the retake king, we're entering a very interesting meta that is really centered around a lot of ability use before the raw gunfights happen. I think the emphasis on duelists is going to start taking a slow backseat, about damn time. Now, will we feel that in ranked play? Not entirely sure, but that 100 Thieves meta composition that they've talked about many times, where it's only one duelist, or even no duelist, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see that. This really slow, methodical, basically use all your utility type of compositions are going to be thriving in an environment where there's no operator at a cheap price, which is its natural counter. And on top of that, the fact that these abilities are so freaking strong. All these abilities are crazy powerful, and they just change the entire game. It doesn't really matter if you're a Reyna and you have all these flashes to take point control. What the frick do you do if you come back to site and there's all these players just playing way off the site and they have all this utility to contest that spike? It can just be a freaking nightmare. I mean, a Viper can put her Toxic Orb on the spike too. You just take it 50 right off the bat. You combine that with Nanoswarm, you combine that with rollouts. It is just gonna be an absolute shit show in my personal opinion, but maybe it's also gonna be fun in some way. It's gonna be a different type of game. And at the end of the day, for ranked, I think that you can pick any character, you can click heads, you can play well on your character, and you can climb regardless. But that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this trickles down, because we're seeing more and more crazy ability buffs that will directly affect combat, and gunplay is taking a little bit of a backseat, or a little bit of a weakened power state. But it's actually going to take a little bit of the strength away from people that are just aimers and nothing else, all aim no brain, and some of the people that think a little bit more deeply about the game might have a chance to shine in this meta. But definitely let me know what you think about it. Are you just going to be frustrated with all this bullshit, or are you excited about the prospect of a more ability-centric Valorant? I want to know your opinion about all that in the comments down below, and then go to the GameLeap website right now in the links down below for high-quality, in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. We got so much damn content at a fraction of the price with our special 50% off spring sale. Do yourself a favor and don't miss out on this insane opportunity in the links down below. But I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming by. I love yo goddamn faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.